Hey everyone, Skull902 here, and today I'm going to be taking yet another trip with my memory lane buddies, and by golly was this episode cursed as hell uh, when it comes to the scheduling and everything. We were, originally announced to take place 2 weeks ago, then I got COVID, and today, I got the news from two of our originally planned co-hosts that they couldn't make it. Had to do some last-minute scrambling and whatnot. But we are here. We are live. This is Memory Lane Buddies, episode 9. Today we're going to be talking about Cartoon Network, and I have two very near and dear guests to be talking about the channel with. We have Lost Leader and we have Rabid Sonic Fan. Hello.
Hey, audio.
Yeah, buddy. Uh, so, uh, Thank you for voting for this topic in the poll last month, and we shall get to discussing this lovely channel with a rich history and whatnot. Our first topic of discussion here is the era of the channel. The channel you most I can't speak. Era of the channel you remember
Take your time.
most fondly. I would only presume that Rabbit and I have the exact same answer to this, but Lost, I'm interested to hear what you might have to say about it because you are like old enough to really like consciously remember the OG like checkerboard original Cartoon Network, uh,
Yeah,
which
that's what I was thinking about too. And I was just like, what are even the eras now that I think about it? And I kind of had to settle on the Cartoon Fridays era, specifically when they were called that. It used to be just called Cartoon Fridays. And then it sort of faded into like a Cartoon Network town type situation.
The
I feel
CN
like,
City era, yeah.
yes. So I feel like a little bit before that era, that's when I felt like it hit its stride for me. That was the era that I liked in particular, and I actually got excited because there was a lot of shows that I liked to watch during that time. And they always had like some new stuff going on and whatnot. And believe it or not, I did not have cable at the time, so like every time that I would go to my mom's house, I would like see this stuff, and it was always an exciting time for me to see these Cartoon Fridays and seeing new things pop up.
yeah. Gotcha. So we're all essentially going to have the same answer then, because like as far as the eras go, I think in terms of the history, it's kind of categorized by like the branding and like the general vibe. So like you have like the original checkerboard era, and then you have the Powerhouse era, which like used that song and like it's advertising and whatnot. That's kind of like that's that's what I come up on. Like I remember Cartoon Network before then, but I was so little that I don't remember like much at
Yeah.
all. It's very vague. Uh,
Uh,
and then Powerhouse is like your cartoons, CCF, Toonami on weekdays, cartoon theater, and all that. And then you get into the city, which Rabbit brought up, and then uh,
Right
like
after that's like the
the
dead ass
yes.
live action era.
You get like the
oof.
city, you get Yes, you get CN Real, and like I had already hopped off by the time that like City took full swing, uh, but yeah, like the Cartoon Network's dark era. I don't imagine we're going to be talking much about that today. Uh, they had a bit of a
No, this
renaissance,
is more
and
about nostalgias. It is
yeah,
memory lane buddies after all.
yeah. Uh, Uh, I would have been interested though in hearing one of our original guests is 5 years younger than I am. So like
Uh,
so they probably would have had fonder memories of like the city and like Yes and whatnot. But
um,
who's to say?
I've got. I liked City, or at least I liked the bumpers. I don't remember like everything they were showing at that time.
Yeah, the vague memories that I do have of seeing the city and whatnot, I thought it was an interesting idea. It's just like I'd fallen out of the network. There was like some things like every now and then I would catch like Teen Titans, and whatnot, because
Yeah.
I was interested in that show, but I had largely like I was a Nickelodeon kid by that point. Uh,
Uh,
so yeah,
I do want to clarify something here is that I did not I'm not a fan of particularly the city area. I do like the bumpers, but it was around right before it started coming up that I liked the Cartoon Fridays.
yeah. Uh,
yeah.
I just kind of associate the city era with like all of my favorite shows still like starting to go away and like the new
Yeah, because
ones.
like
Yeah.
2004 is when like every cartoon channel like stopped showing like their classic stuff.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Johnny Bravo aired its last episode that year. Samurai Jack went into hiatus. And the stuff that they were like replacing it with, like I wasn't much a fan of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends when I was a kid, uh, and like stuff
I
like
was a
that. But
huge fan of that show.
I liked it, not as much as Powerpuff Girls and stuff, but like
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know what I think of it nowadays.
But as a whole, I think we can say that like the Cartoon Network era before the Powerhouse era is what we resonate with the most.
Hmm.
I
Uh,
feel it has the most memorable bumpers to it
oh yeah.
because like the other
For
bumpers,
sure.
the like as much as I remember the Cartoon Fridays and all that such, they really didn't have the bumpers that they had for the city, and I feel like that's what made it most memorable for a lot of people.
Um,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it definitely had its own vibe, and one of my answers to uh, or actually my answer to the next topic of discussion will go a little more into that, but it definitely like it had its feel,
I
and
I do like them. Like it was a bit more about like a kind of office politics, I guess, because a lot of it was like going around the studio.
yeah, there was that, and
Mm.
there's like some other stuff too. I'll mention. A welcome to Stitch
Yeah.
and Jason to the podcast, by the way. Uh,
It had a very laid back vibe to it overall.
hmm Uh, so that's kind of like where we all reside. Is like I'd say that era
Like
like
around the late 90s, early 2000s,
I
generally.
think that era started in like 1998 and ended in 2003.
2003, 2004,
And
yeah.
yeah, they went through like a transitional phase between '03 and '04. And that's where I kind of hopped off. Uh, but yeah, so that's favorite era. Uh, the next one here is something about the network's branding you love, which
And that's all they are nowadays,
yeah,
Rip.
pretty much. But a good segue into that because we kind of already started talking about it. But I'll start off on this one, and I'll just say like back when I was a regular viewer and whatnot, uh, they had just really good editors. The editing for whatever they were trying to do at that point on the channel was so perfect because you had those live action animation hybrid commercials Rabid was mentioning earlier with like the office, the studio, whatnot, and uh, that helped give the network some real synergy. But then like you also would have like the commercial bumps with the original animation and whatnot. But then
Yeah.
like whether it was say an ad for cartoon theater or the masterpieces like these cinematic quality packages that they would put together for Toonami. Oh my God. Uh, Whoever was editing for the channel back then were they were just on fire. Like it was really really good. They could make anything look appealing in their branding and marketing and whatnot. And I think
They also
uh,
just did like straight up music videos.
yeah, that's another
AMVs and
thing.
everything.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. But like it was like no matter what they tried to do, uh, you know, Cartoon Fridays, Toonami, Cartoon Theater, Prime Time, all these different things, the specials and whatnot. Like they had. a really good way of making different vibes to set the mood. So like it all accomplished the same thing, but did it in different ways. And that I think is like just amazing. I would love to have the editing skills of that level, you know, just to be able to hype up the audience or get them engaged in such a way that gives them a particular feel with the mood that you want to go for, uh, and whatnot. Delta Force, hello, welcome to the stream.
Salutations.
Oh my God, I'm streaming this publicly. Shit.
Ooh.
This is
Oopsie
supposed to be for
poopsies.
members only. Shit.
Well, I
Well,
hope whoever
we
saw
haven't-
this initially enjoyed that.
I'm so sorry. I have to put the privacy to memory lane buddies and higher. I'm so sorry. Well, that was an oopsie.
Oopsie poopsie. I was wondering why we had so many people
Like
showing up and saying hi, how do you
I,
do?
well, like, oh yeah, because none of these are channel members. Oh my God, did I fuck up? Don't worry, guys. You'll get the VOD within a week. That is the promise. I'm probably gonna put it up to like tomorrow, just because of that oopsie.
Dang.
Uh,
This has just been entirely cursed for you, huh?
no, yeah. This episode of Memory Lane Buddies has been brought to you by Cursory and terrible luck, forgetfulness, whatever you want to say.
I mean, you literally got sick amongst when we were supposed to record the first time, so
Yeah.
I would definitely call that just cursed.
Yeah, this episode's been cursed. Though that one was just my memory fucking up. But yes. So my answer to the second point here is just the editing and the way that editing could give you different feels, but accomplish the same task of getting you interested in the program or whatever was going on that you were watching. Um,
Yeah, I
so
remember those Toonami edits.
oh yeah.
You're definitely correct on that.
So, lost something about the network's branding that you love.
So this is actually more akin to the older side of people out there because um back in the day we just did not have cartoons on a 24-hour basis. We just didn't.
Yeah,
And
I mean, that was basically Cartoon Network's whole branding. It's like you get to watch cartoons whenever you want. It's like the first channel like that.
yeah,
In that way, have you guys ever? I'm sure Rabid's seen it, but like the original sales pitch.
Like the one with Droopy, yeah.
Yeah, when Turner was trying to like get investors involved and was like, hey, you got all these kid networks going around, but like Disney's premium at the time, and Nickelodeon only shows cartoons like a little bit of the time of the day. What if we had a 24-hour Cartoon Network? We got a big library.
Yeah, and actually that's what kind of helps make Boomerang a thing too. And honestly, Boomerang nowadays is pretty lit with how many people they have out there. But what I'm largely talking about is specifically the way that they did it with Cartoon Network, because it wasn't just like, oh, we're just bringing you cartoons we have on our archive. They were also bringing in anime and like showing a bunch of like new things and investing into situations and whatnot that just was really out there for the time. And one of my fondest memories for this particular branding was Toonami specifically invading the WB Kids network and doing their own little like this is like a Toonami hour in like the WB Kids Saturday morning cartoons. And it was really cool to see like Dragon Ball Z and like properly in like your more standard public TV show and whatnot. And it was really exciting as an event too. And like, I feel like that encompasses a lot of the early days of Cartoon Network where it was specifically supposed to be celebrating cartoons. And I just love that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Kids WB Toonami though was a bit of a disappointment for me because like it was cool to see like Dragon Ball Z more, but on the flip side, like they did not have any of that Toonami charm. Like they would just like show the absolution in space or whatever, but like it wasn't nearly as immersive as it was on Cartoon Network, unfortunately.
Yeah, it
Tom
very
never
clearly was
spoke.
defanged.
Sarah never spoke. You know, it really was just like a little bit of Toonami related footage, and then they just slapped the kids WB logo on it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh man, I remember that. It was so weird.
It was. That's kind of what makes the branding work, is just how weird it could be at times, and just like not a lot of brands do that. Not a lot of brands embrace the weirdness that they have.
I mean, I think they just assume most people are watching on streaming now, so they don't really try anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's now and not like what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so Rabid, something about the branding of Cartoon Network that you enjoy in particular.
Uh, I mean, I kind of felt like we went over a lot of this already, but I just liked it in very like chill vibes. They'd have like a lot of funny bumpers and whatnot, and even got to see like a lot of memorable music videos. Uh, and like I liked seeing all these different cartoon characters cross over together and whatnot when you normally wouldn't be able to in the shows for the most part.
Yeah.
And sometimes like they do even do just like basically short films when once you put like all the bumpers together and whatnot, like
Yeah.
the Scooby Doo project, for example,
Oh
that they
yeah.
did during one of their marathons. They were
Yeah.
just like very unique in that way.
Yeah. There really wasn't anything like it at that time. For sure.
And it was like kind of still during the point where like they didn't give as much of a damn because they were on cable and they knew a lot of adults were watching, so like the humor was like a bit more edgy back then.
Mm-hmm. Um. Well, in that case, I think we can move on to what's probably going to be the meat of this podcast here. Favorite show broadcast on the network. Lost. I'll give the honors to you for first mention.
Okay, cool, awesome. It was actually already mentioned before, and I was trying to bite my tongue on this, but I can't think of any Cartoon Network show that I would rather give this to, and that's the Powerpuff Girls. I absolutely love that show. Just an amazingly funny and interesting, and like had a unique premise all around. And I just really like that it both focused on the main girls as well as like some of the side characters and the villains at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a show with such heart to it that I was generally shocked to see just how well thought out a lot of the episodes were. And they made a lot of interesting references too. Like there's a reference to South Park in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Cartoon Network shows a lot of them around that time, like especially Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls made a lot of pop cultural references into just whatever they were into.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Not gonna lie, fam. My answer was also the Powerpuff Girls.
Let's go.
A lot
It's
of the
pretty
same.
peak.
Yeah,
Same hat.
like as far as like television like series are concerned, the Powerpuff Girls is just straight up my favorite overall. Uh, and for a lot of the same reasons that Lost was mentioning, like the humor and where it could go and whatnot. I appreciate works that can be funny at points and like super silly, but then also take themselves seriously in other points, and then and it's good either way. Uh, that it's such a delicate balance to try and hit the right way, and the Powerpuff Girls did that almost 100% of the time, so well. Uh, it had a very memorable cast, great rogues gallery, uh, you know, um, it's just jam packed full of good shit. They had a certain vibe to it. They again could do some wonderful humor. You could kind of tell that it's one of the first shows that was like written by people who grew up with cartoons on TV. Uh, you know, in that way. But they were also really good about things like continuity and whatnot if they needed to call back to something or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so it was really good in that way too. And character development sometimes, right? Uh, it was just so solid, and I can very much respect that they didn't like drive it into the ground or anything. Like, uh, some have some less than kind things to say about like the last two seasons, but I don't think anyone thinks that the Powerpuff Girls ever got shit. Uh,
I
you know.
it's definitely not as good as the initial seasons, but it's not quite the downturn like the
like
similar
like
Dexter revival got
yeah,
around that
like
time.
the Dexter revival is very contentious, or like say SpongeBob, for instance, had a really long dark era,
Hmm.
uh, or whatever. The creators ended it when they felt like they couldn't do anything more with it, and that's very like I think that's pretty respectable. Uh, you know,
That's a pretty common thing around that time, I noticed, because like
Yeah.
Dexter and Samurai Jack and the DCAU shows all were the same way.
yeah. So like Powerpuff Girls, for all those reasons, would be my answer to that question. Uh, Rabid, how you feeling?
That's a hard answer. I don't know if it's Powerpuff Girls, but that is an excellent show.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
um, I'd probably go with Samurai Jack.
Another very, very solid choice.
So I had
Yeah,
to
but
really quick then. Does this Samurai Jack mention include the sequel series to it that it got on Adult Swim?
I mean it's a part of the show, so yeah, sure.
Okay.
Season 5. Uh, yeah, it was really cool that they were able to bring it back because I know Gendy Tartakovsky was very insistent on wanting to end Samurai Jack a very specific way.
For a
Uh,
long time they wanted it to be a movie, but it just never worked out. So he's like, "Fuck it, okay, I'll just do another season
yeah,
then."
yeah. Uh, really, the only flaw of that is that it probably should have been another 13 episodes instead of 10 because that ending was very, very fast paced.
Yeah, but like that's just kind of the climate for seasons nowadays. They just get 10 episodes.
Yeah, like I don't know how they could have spaced it out better either, because like the first 8 episodes, like I feel like the pace was done really well, and then you get to the final two, and it becomes more of a roller coaster. It's not bad. It just feels like more time could have been
They had
dedicated
to
to it.
like rush it through, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, but Samurai Jack definitely, man. That's a great pick.
Yeah.
Another thing that I respect is like you know, being able to tell a story without having dialogue, and there is like plenty of episodes of Samurai Jack that do just that, like minimal dialogue and just like
Oh
purely
yeah.
purely visual storytelling. And it also just had a very unique look to it as well. Like no other cartoon looks like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Believe
you
it or
look at
not.
Samurai Jack, it's very distinct to that show with
Yeah.
most characters not having outlines and things like that. And like that influence is like kind of carried over to as far as like have being visual storytelling and all is carried over to Tartakovsky's like more recent stuff as well, cuz like Primal, for example, just straight up has no dialogue at all in any of its episodes.
Yeah. Lost, I believe you were saying something.
Yeah, in particular, that is the reason why I don't like Samurai Jack, believe it or not. It's because it doesn't have dialogue.
Oh
And that
man, hot
and that
take
kind of
leader
stuff.
over here.
Oh
It's
man.
not even that. It's not this is not like a hot take that I'm trying to like give out here. It's just a particular thing that I have. And it's just something that like puts me on edge when there's no dialogue and whatnot, because it just feels like a bit of silence to it. I understand that is the direction it's going for, and I would never like laminate Samurai Jack for it. But that's the reason why I couldn't get into the show when I was younger, because I just did not have patience for it.
Ah,
You
That's all
know,
it comes down to.
I feel like the pacing though with like the action and stuff kind of helped with that sort of thing and the soundtrack and everything. As someone uh who has a bit of a lack of patience, and especially when I was a kid, uh you know Samurai Jack knew how to flow in a way that always kept my attention.
and I
And
mean
that's
it's got aliens and robots and funny talking animals in it too, so it helped keep my attention.
It's got
and
Tom Kelly, Jesus,
Tom Kelly.
Tom Kenny yelling "Samurai Jack" in that one
and
episode.
that yeah. And that's kind of what I want to highlight about Samurai Jack is that like it's able to do that despite everything. Like it was able to hold a fairly good kid audience despite
Yeah,
like doing all the things that it did.
and it's also kind of like Batman in a way, in that it's able to have like a lot of like serious action
Yeah.
episodes, but also like full on comedy episodes, and not feel like a different show.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes.
and much like what I said about the Powerpuff Girls earlier too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of like showed just how versatile both Cartoon Network is and Samurai Jack as a whole, because they were willing to do something like that. And like, it would be a few years before like Nickelodeon started doing Last Airbender, you know?
Yeah.
Hmm. So uh, if there's nothing more to say about like favorite shows or anything of the sort, uh, our next topic here is an episode of a show from the channel that you'd like to spotlight. And I'm gonna go first here. Um,
Okay.
when I mention uh, like Courage the Cowardly Dog, I'll just start with that and say uh, I mentioned with Rabid and TTP on the Halloween episode that that's like uh, a show that Rabbit and I will like regularly watch around Halloween. Uh, but we didn't really get into specifics too much, I don't think, because that episode was very loosey goosey, like stream of consciousness uh,
Yeah.
sort of a deal. Um,
Yeah.
so when I say Courage the Cowardly Dog here, one of the things that I feel like we definitely should have pointed out then, and I'm gonna rectify here because like as far as single episodes of cartoons that aired on Cartoon Network are concerned, The Mask was a really goddamn good episode of a really goddamn good show. Uh, it it was like one of only two episodes of Courage that used like the full 20 minutes of airtime, and it did it very
One of
effectively.
two episodes, yeah.
Uh, it did it very effectively, and it told a story that I think did a very commendable job touching on a subject that is quite mature and serious. Uh,
You
uh,
don't see many horror comedies for kids doing a whole episode about domestic abuse, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So,
and
oh, that's the one. Okay.
and making it palatable for its audience. Uh, I thought that it did a really good job showing like how that sort of thing is bad. And how like say in Kitty's case, how things like that can be very traumatic and lead people to you know, have certain vibes and feelings about other people, like how she didn't trust dogs whatsoever, and beat the shit out of Courage and whatnot because of what Mad Dog was doing to her friend. So, uh, you know, uh, and then just the way that the story went on. And its use of the characters within and everything like that, You know, when it's time to watch Courage the Cowardly Dog for Halloween, like that's a must watch episode in my personal opinion, because they handled the whole situation very, very well.
Like
And
when you compare it to Family Guy, especially, like how delicate they handle that situation is just astounding, really.
yeah,
Yeah, it's an excellent episode.
just
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
top notch.
Though
From
then again, I can't think of a bad episode of Courage.
That's very true.
Yeah, yeah,
But like even as quality of a show that Courage was, like some episodes do stand out more than others, and The Mask is
Yeah,
one of those. It's kind of strange too, because that's one of the last episodes, and maybe I just wasn't at home or something when it first aired, but I don't remember seeing that one at all when I was a kid.
I didn't watch it when it was first airing on the network. No, I
Yeah.
didn't see it until like about a decade later.
Yeah, I think I found out about it reading TV tropes, and then I looked it up and watched it then, and I was like, oh my God. I don't know how I would have taken it when I was a kid, but I think I'm actually glad that I didn't see that episode until I was in my uh, earlier mid 20s,
Yeah,
because
I mean, I could appreciate it a lot more as an adult due to the
exactly.
subject matter.
yeah.
Exactly. Like I think seeing it for the first time then definitely raised my appreciation for just how good of an episode that is. Uh, so that's my pick there. Again, just the way that they touched on subjects like domestic abuse and trauma and all that sort of stuff. They did it very excellently. So, Lost, a specific episode of a show for you?
So I did not exactly read the question right, and I thought it was uh, the episode from your favorite show, not just an episode from a show.
I mean, it could be from anything. It could be from your favorite show.
No. I understand. I'm just saying like that. I did not give thought to like other episodes. So like I'm fine with my answer. I like my answer honestly, because
Mhm.
it just is very important. In the sense that like it made me laugh a whole lot. It's just a very cutesy episode of the Powerpuff Girls, where it's called I believe it's called Rainy Day. Uh, I'm looking up what it is right now.
It's
Best
it's
Rainy Day.
it's something like the Powerpuff Girls' Excellent Rainy Day Adventure. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one. And what really cracks me up about it is just still remembering Bubbles calling the mayor on the little phone and whatnot, and just being like, "Oh, like give me the Powerpuff Girls," and like he like hears them like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it right away," and he jumps out of the window. And it's just like, what is he doing?
I fell in the mud.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing so good too.
Oh, thank you.
But it's just
Powerpuff
like,
Girls!
but it was just an episode that like had so much jokes one after the other, and just kind of was peak in terms of the girls just being girls and playing around and whatnot. That made me really love that episode in particular, and it still sticks with me a lot.
Yeah. It's definitely I think one of the most iconic episodes of the show for sure, and there's a good reason for that.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun packed in there. A lot of imagination put into that one.
Exactly.
For
It
sure.
was very nice in that regard.
Uh, so Rabid, how about you? Like a standout episode from any of the shows that aired on the network?
Okay, I'm gonna go with a cracked out answer right now.
Please tell me, please tell me it's Time Weasel.
Oh my god.
You know, if I thought of Time Weasel, it would have been Time Weasel, but no.
Oh no.
Johnny Bravo meets Adam West.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. It's a really good pick right there.
It's just really fucking funny.
Yeah.
And it kind of started off the trend of Adam West being like insane in other shows because it's actually written by both Seth MacFarlane and Butch Hartman. That
yeah.
That's wild.
yeah.
TV's Adam West. Uh, Man,
Hello, Johnny, it's me, Adam West.
I played Batman in the 60s. Uh,
Why
you know,
doesn't Batman dance anymore?
We
you
have to
know,
go find the secret underground lair of the mole people, and they're just digging in a golf course.
yeah. I, I like I know I've seen it, and whatnot, but that's one I kind of have to like go back and watch again because it's been too long. But I know that like the
I would
general.
absolutely watch that again right after this if you're game, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I do remember the general vibe, and it is interesting, like you said, because McFarlane and Hartman wrote that one, and they would, later include Adam West as a regular character in their own shows, and for Family Guy specifically, that was very influential on the way that they included Adam
Yeah,
West in there. Fun stuff.
yeah.
Um, so our final regular topic, because we didn't have any fan questions submitted before we went live, uh, is a core memory watching the channel. Just like one particular moment that just sits in your brain forever because it made such an impression. Um, Lost. Let's start off with you.
I feel like Rabbit and I have the same answer here because like if there's anything that I remember the most about Cartoon Network, it was their marathon of Scooby Doo Where Are You, where they did the Scooby Doo Blair Witch Project parody. And that one in particular, like, always kind of like got me because it was pretty much just broad daylight. It was all Scooby Doo, like the whole way through. And I just really remember and associating a lot of that network with watching Scooby Doo movies, specifically the Zombie Island movie in particular.
Yeah, I don't
And
remember if like that was the same marathon, but I do
no,
distinctly remember they did one leading up to Zombie Island.
yeah. And like I'm not saying uh like it was during that time. I'm just saying that like Scooby Doo is like what I think of Cartoon Network. Like that's pretty much how it goes down. And I feel like Cartoon Network Scooby Doo Where Are You marathon during October 31st was like the specific like core memory that like I remember of that entirely. And like
So your Halloween in 1999 was very Scooby focused.
bit I probably was doing something else while I was watching it, and like every now and again they would show those bumpers. I was like, what the hell is this? This isn't the Scooby Doo that I'm used to. And like that's the thing that like grabbed my attention and why I stayed on the channel because I was like, this is actually really cool. What the hell?
Yeah. Uh, I don't remember because I know that they re-aired it at some point. Like I don't remember when exactly I saw it, whether it was the original or like the re-airing, but I do remember like vaguely being awake at night when I was very young. And I remember like the one like where like Daphne's like running around yelling and whatnot, and Velma's like calling after her. And then I must have conflated it with like the one where they run into Scrappy because I thought it was Scrappy being like, Daphne, wait. Uh, but I remembered that for years, and I was like, was that real? Uh,
Yeah,
and,
exactly. That's the whole entire thing that gets me. It's just like when it was airing, it was wild. Like this can't be right.
and Rabbit and I watched it years later, and then like it came back to me like when that part came up, and I was like, oh my god, yes, I remember seeing this when I was a kid and being confused as all hell. Ah,
The core
lovely.
memory just came back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought this was a fever dream. Uh, but yeah, uh, that's a pretty cool one to have there, seeing that when it originally came out for sure. Um,
And what? Like it wasn't even like fully on there either. Like I was like in the middle of the marathon because I was like, I don't want to watch Scooby Doo. And they start putting that on. I'm like, well, now I gotta watch Scooby Doo because apparently they're doing this.
Scooby Doo just became a lot more interesting.
Right?
Yeah. Man. Uh, are you kind of like the same way as just on this general subject? Like I liked Zombie Island and the Cyber Chase when I was a kid, and later on, like when we got the live action movie on VHS, I liked that too. I wasn't much of a Scooby fan until I got older.
Very like against Scooby Doo, but like in a way that like I don't like the old Scooby Doo, the 1970s and 80s and all that such. I think it's very boring comparatively. But like over the course of these few years, in which I've known you skulls, I've grown to appreciate Scooby Doo, the newer ones, and especially the movies, which is a very odd thing for me to say. I'll be real.
And like when I was a kid, as far as like the old Scooby shows, like the only ones that I would ever really pay attention to is like when they crossed over with Batman and Robin and like the Addams Family. I liked watching those
Yeah,
episodes, but like oh, you know what? I loved a pup named Scooby Doo as well. Uh, and I still
yeah,
do.
Yeah.
I
that
think
was
that's
where I started on it.
I think that's still my favorite Scooby series. Uh, but then like in my 20s or so is when I like started watching the classic ones again. I was like, I actually really like Scooby Doo.
It's one of those things that I feel like you never initially like it as a kid, and it slowly kind of like creeps into you, like some sort of like poison, you know?
Some sort of poison.
I
I feel
liked it
like
as a
it
kid. I
is.
thought I always enjoyed it.
Oh
I
man.
think
Well,
it's
if you
got a
don't
lot of
enjoy it,
charm.
if you don't enjoy it, that's kind of how it goes down. I'll be real.
Yeah. Um. So my answer to this question, the core memory watching the channel, like one specific moment, I could bring up some stuff. Like I had to kind of rack my brain here to think about like what to mention because there's a few moments like say I definitely remember having going over to my dad's and my two brothers and I would huddle up in like the basement and watch Cartoon Network like really late at night and like plenty of watchings of Dragon Ball Z on like the Midnight Run Toonami. One in particular where like there was a really interesting uh, uh, technical fault uh, in the channel and whatnot. I actually remember a few of those, but the one specific one I want to bring up, and I know I have brought it up on the channel before, but fuck it, it's like one of the most special memories of my childhood ever. Uh, if Wikipedia's air dates aren't lying to me, then the September 20th, 2002 edition of Cartoon Fridays sits very near and dear in my heart. And between just watching all the shows, the only one that I really remember specifically was Dexter. There's like I think it was a new episode premiere, and like one of the segments had Dexter and Mandark fighting in robots. That's what I remember. But
Hell yeah.
they had the classics in there, all of them that they would air at the time. Johnny Bravo and Powerpuff Girls and all that. Um, but like around that time is when shit really started hitting the fan for us as a family, and just started getting worse. Uh, and I don't know if it necessarily had an influence on this decision, and I don't know what possessed her to do it. But my mom, my mom, me, and all three of my siblings, we were huddled together in the living room. We'd just watching Cartoon Network because we were all into it, and I think it was really cool. Just
Yeah.
as a side note, that my mom was into these cartoons as well. Um, but she would regularly order from the pizza place around during our watchings of Cartoon Fridays. It was a very regular experience for the family, but this one particular time, like, she just went extra and ordered like the entire fucking menu. uh
Let's go.
from it was we had leftovers for like a week. It was beautiful, man. It was pizza, chicken, ribs, breadsticks and potato wedges and fries and every side that you can think of, dude. It was amazing. We ate like kings.
Wow.
And again, I don't know what possessed my mom to do it, uh, but we just sat down there, feasting, and just watching all these shows that we loved and had formed a bond over. And it's one of those things that I will very deeply appreciate because, again, it was at kind of like the start of a very rough half a year or so for our family. And you know just one of those things where like one of the first times during that rough patch where we came together and just there was nothing wrong in life for those few hours,
Yeah.
so that's my answer to that question. uh Rabbit, I turn it over to you.
Uh.
Yeah, the premiere of
um.
was pretty interesting.
The way they
I feel like
always
I have a hard
sound
time
like on
living
the
up
seat
to
of their
that.
teeth.
I mean, you
Um.
you don't have to feel like you need to like top anybody's answer, man.
Yeah. I know. I'm just like having a hard time thinking of anything. I'd probably go with a similar uh answer as Lost, I suppose, because I don't think it was the Scooby Doo Project one, but I do distinctly remember like on Halloween in like 97, 98, watching Zombie Island.
Yeah,
Like
Zombie
basically
Island's
right
really
after I
good.
got done trick or treating and whatnot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I definitely remember. You know, um, like I said, Zombie Island was one of the Scooby Doo things that I was into when I was a kid. It's just such a good movie.
It's
It really is.
badass.
Yeah, I know that we spent a good chunk of the Halloween one talking with TTP about how good that movie is, but it's really fucking good.
It is. It's still really fucking good all these years later.
Yeah,
I think what really ramps it up is the fact that they kind of play into the fact that like they understand that like it's kind of a tired situation, but they play into it in a way that like makes it far more interesting than usual.
Yeah, and it is like a much darker tone, and they just really like
Yeah.
it's interesting that like even compared to like a lot of the later direct-to-video movies, it just overall has like more of a cinematic feel and pacing overall.
I think
hmm
the only one that ever gets close to it is the Witch's Curse or the
Which
one where
is
they go to
Gillis,
Salem.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
has
even
Tim
then,
Curry, so I also like that one.
yeah, it's really good. Both of them are really good. I do not like Cyber Chase nearly as much as y'all though. I just don't. I don't understand.
I have nostalgia for Cyber Chase, but I don't think it's as
Yeah.
good as the
yeah.
other ones from around that time.
I will say that nostalgia does play a fair bit into it because I remember like the first time I saw it, like that scene where the current Mystery Inc. gang meets up with their like younger virtual selves, like really stuck in my head, and I love that part of the movie. Uh, it is largely nostalgia based,
Yeah.
Like my
in my
my main
opinion.
problem with that honestly is just the fact that they show up like near the end, and it's like
Like
I
the
would have
last 20
loved this to
minutes or
be the
so, yeah.
whole movie, you know?
Yeah. You can tell like they really like that section too, because they speed through a lot of the other video game levels to get to that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also partly why I don't like it. It's just like you have this like really neat, interesting idea, and you just don't even go with it because you just montage.
Hmm.
Yeah. James D. Mork,
Uh,
by the way, thank you for the member message and welcome to the stream. Has been a member for 17 months and says, "Hey, 17 months solid, hogging time, baby, yeah." Uh,
Oh,
so
Hog.
thank you for the continued support to the channel, my dude, and whatnot. But we had on a similar note to what Rabbit was saying about like you could tell that they like doing that. Like that's if you read the production of Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, uh, like you know that it was a production that they did for the love of the franchise, and I think that that's like it really shows, and it's fucking cool that they were allowed to do like all these experimental like cool things just because they wanted like the mission wasn't to make it sell or to have it be popular or whatever. Their mission was just let's make a really fucking good Scooby Doo movie, and they did it, man.
yeah.
The
Just all
production on like that specific series of direct-to-video movies that like that creative team did is very interesting.
oh yeah. Just it was purely for the love of the art and like you just gotta have a big appreciation for those
Yeah,
kinds of passion projects.
because like for Zombie Island, like they were basically given complete like freedom and creative control because for Warner Brothers it's just some weird experiment or whatever. But then it did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for Witch's Ghost, they like, okay, we hired a writer to do this, so work off of that. But they were allowed to change the ending, so it was kind of like half and half, I guess. And then for Alien Invaders, they were allowed to do whatever they wanted again. And then for Cyber Chase, they had to work off of a writer again. So
Yeah, yeah, just good stuff, and whatnot. So like, so to revolve it back around to being more specific, like you remember like the cable premiere of that.
yeah,
That's pretty nice. Uh, and uh,
it had that epic like Cartoon Network theater promo too. That was like, doo, doo, doo,
oh
doo,
yeah,
doo, 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 doo.
and this time the monsters are real.
That is
Yeah.
distinctly burned into my brain.
Oh, same. Uh,
It's just they did stuff like that.
Don LaFontaine, man, best trailer guy that ever existed.
Oh yeah, for sure. Did like every '90s trailer.
R.I.P. Man, gone too soon.
hmm
And
Um, but yeah, uh, because we don't have a fan question, that's gonna be it here. This might be one of the shortest episodes of Memory Lane Buddies here. I'm sorry
well,
about the broadcasting snafu. Don't worry, guys, from like the public space. You will be getting this very soon. Uh, and whatnot. But nice to just sit back and chill and talk some about like from the ages of like 3 or 4 to 9. Like Cartoon Network was just my main space for TV. Uh, you know, uh, just loved it so much and everything. It was very nice to have Lost come around and express those same feelings and
yeah.
Rabid. I know like you and I specifically we you
We
know
do our Cartoon Network
yeah,
Fridays.
yeah, we love to, try and like sit back and either find like full recordings of Fridays or like just try to sometimes you know uh
Recreate them to the best of our
yeah,
ability. Yeah.
recreate the network experience. Bonus segment. Fuck it.
But
Cuz
might as well. This is a short one anyway.
Yeah, because I think it's actually rather interesting that Rabbit and I will do this sometimes because we've done it with Cartoon Fridays, and we had to do it very manually the like the first time, like seeking out everything
Yeah.
individually and like
Thankfully, people have posted full segments on archives since then. So
oh yeah, for sure. uh yeah, thankfully that's been a thing, but like uh you know it is rather cool to do that and like relive the memory and whatnot by doing that, not just for Cartoon Fridays, which we've done plenty of times, but uh, I I thought about how he did that, and then how we found the Toonami music video special at one time.
Yeah, that was really cool as well.
Yeah, that was like I mentioned it to KN, and I definitely felt it when Rabbit and I did, found that broadcast and watched it. But like, for how cool Toonami was to view after school on weekdays and whatnot, you will never be more immersed in Toonami, than watching it at nighttime. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where like midnight hits and it's like, oh, it's tsunami time, baby. Let's
Yeah, yeah,
go.
bro. It just feels right to see Tom out in space and whatnot. But the music video special, and I know I talked about it at Extra Life, but Rabid wasn't there when we were talking
Yeah,
about
so it
it
doesn't
then.
count.
Um, but it was cool to see all those music videos, man, and the music choices that they had, I thought were very interesting too. Like Daft Punk when they really started becoming
Yeah.
mainstream, and the Gorillas as well. Like that's just not
Yeah.
something that you would immediately think of when you think of like Cartoon Network during that time. Uh, and then I would be remiss to not mention how fucking weirdly that particular recording that Rabbit and I watched ended. Um, because I forget the song, um, but it was so different from the other ones. But
It
the
was this
song,
fucking depressing
yeah, the
music video
song,
about like,
it,
capitalism.
it was like the song was like really sad. And the music video was like a sped up French short film. Uh, and so like and that's the last thing that they show on the broadcast. So like the music video goes, it's this very depressing music video. Then you get the Toonami end screen, and Rabbit and I are just sitting there like with our mouths like agape, just like that's the
Yeah,
note
kind
they
of a
ended things
downer.
on. And then
Yeah.
immediately after it goes to the commercials after, but like only for a split second, and it's a Baskin Robbins Shrek commercial where Donkey goes, "Hey Shrek," and then it cuts off.
It
Hey Shrek cuts off.
was like, you know what? Worth it.
Yeah, like it just the tonal turnaround was brings a tear to my eye. It was beautiful. Oh man, I love it so much. But uh, that's our bonus segment. So it's just to end things off again. Lost very much appreciate having you come around, and Rabid
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
last minute. Just
Yeah,
to
I've been in a very Cartoon Network mood lately anyway, so it was just kind of like
Oh,
convenient. And I was like, oh, I forgot this was happening today, so I
still
figured
in the
I'd do as
spirit
well.
of things, why don't
Yeah.
we talk a bit about Adult Swim?
Yeah, we could do that for a little bit, I
you,
guess.
you know what? Sure. I even after I fell out of Cartoon Network, like I started getting more into Adult Swim's programming. I don't know if like either of you did, but I remember very vaguely when like Adult Swim first came on, like the just the premiere broadcast, and I was
I
like,
do. I
Oh,
not like when they
kids out of the
first came
pool.
on, but like I do
Dude,
remember like the old like transition where it's like, oh, there's old Swim's coming on. It shows like people in the swimming pool and
yeah,
whatnot.
all kids out of the pool and that sort of thing. Uh,
Yeah,
I I uh, I
and
remember being very confused by what was going on because it's
I
like
don't remember if it was like right before the block started or like shortly after, but I remember that's also around when their documentary series Toon Heads started airing.
and Toonheads I feel had been around for a while afterward, but
Well, like not like the year, but like the around that time,
it
on
like
the channel.
I want to say Toonheads I think started in like '96. It's actually like
It's probably around then, yeah.
it's surprisingly one of their earliest original shows. I fucking love Toonheads, by the way.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And I'm glad that like lost episodes of it are starting to come around because you could barely find like say 10 years ago even I think the only thing that was available was like a short promo. Uh,
And like, I guess because they're lost episodes, they're like
Uh,
the best quality ones you can find online.
eh? Lost episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, and a few of them are like not even like the full edits. Like you got scratch tracks of the narration
Yeah.
and whatnot. It's very interesting. Um, but like Adult Swim specifically, I definitely remember like the original era, and again like the
Yeah,
premiere broadcast and just being confused like what is this all kids out of the pool? What is this home movies? You know?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Home
uh,
Movies was like one of the first ones too. I think that was their very first cartoon that they aired, wasn't it?
I
Uh,
believe so.
it was originally on UPN, I think, and then on Adult
No, no,
Swim
it
just immediately
was,
picked it up.
and that's what Adult Swim does, honestly. But
Yeah.
it did not air all the episodes on UPN.
No, no, no. It just aired like the first few episodes, and then like they
Yeah,
did the rest of it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, and I think the memory is just strong enough for me to say it with confidence, but I do think Home Movies is like the very first program that aired under the Adult Swim banner.
I think it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
or at least the most iconic of the first ones.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Adult Swim lineup, like aside from Home Movies, I think at first wasn't the strongest because you had like, well, you know what? I say that, but then I immediately remembered that Aqua Teen Hunger Force, The Brack Show, and Space Ghost Coast to Coast also existed.
Yeah, I was about to be like, "What are you talking about? They're classics."
The Brack Show did not exist at the time, but Space Coast Coast to Coast did. Space Coast Coast to Coast existed before Adult Swim.
Yeah, it was one
Yeah.
of Cartoon Network's first
Yeah,
originals. Like I think it was the first right after the Moxie show.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
so it did have good shows, but I like for whatever reason I was trying to like before I remembered those Harvey Birdman as well actually. Uh,
Yeah.
like the only thing I could remember was like Baby Blues and the Oblongs.
Oh,
those
I remember
those were
liking
on
those
different
shows
channels
too.
as well. But Harvey Birdman was its own program on there, and believe it or not, does have a game. You could play that on the Wii and the
Yeah.
PS2.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
Um, so like I remember like that original era, and I do have some like core memories of that, like seeing the premiere as I mentioned before. I think I was sick one time, and was just hanging out in my living room, and Adult Swim came on, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see Adult Swim through to the end.
Oh
And
man.
because anytime that it came on, I would either be made to go to bed or just fall asleep on my own. So, so I was like, you know what? I'm sticking through it. And I don't think it looped at the time either, so it ended at like 2 in the morning. Uh,
yeah.
so like I remember watching it all the night through, and I was like, haha, I made it. Because
You did what a naughty kid would do.
I wanted to see because like at the start it's like all kids out of the pool blah blah blah. I wanted to see if there was any like special ending to it, and there was. So it was like, haha, I finally found it. Um, but I remember that, and I also remember just how fucking different. And that this is another thing that I mentioned on the extra live stream, just how different the way that like the comedy Adult Swim on Sunday and the anime Adult Swim on Thursday were. Like they were the same block of ostensibly, but they presented themselves so fucking differently. And the anime Adult Swim, like it did the warning with like Macintalk and like these really surreal images and whatnot. Like when I was 7, 8 years old, it would actually really freak me out.
I felt
Whatever
like
happened to Robot Jones?
It was like, yeah, that's the comparison I made actually. Is like, why is evil Robot Jones warning me about the content of these programs? Uh, and whatnot. But then, like in the later years, I definitely have a lot of fun memories, like watching stuff like that's how. Or actually, no, I was introduced to Family Guy by a friend bringing his DVD over. Uh, but I definitely
sense.
remember watching a lot of Family Guy and Adult Swim. That's for sure. Robot Chicken and whatnot.
Yeah, a lot of people actually watch King of the Hill that way too. Like, I'm generally surprised that the majority audience of King of the Hill is from them as well.
Adult Swim, like, both Family Guy and Futurama, like,
Oh
basically owe
yeah.
their revivals to Adult Swim reruns.
Yeah, how could I have forgotten Futurama? Because that was one of my favorites too. Oh man.
Got brought back too.
Hmm.
Yep.
And
Eddie has a
unfortunately wasn't
question.
nearly as good. It's Spidey. Welcome in. Thankfully you caught us here because like we were gonna end the stream like 2 times before we
But then we kept going like, no, we got something else to talk about.
yeah.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things to talk about with Cartoon Network. Anyway,
Yeah.
So like currently we're going on about Adult Swim and whatnot, but you know uh uh I guess we can do the fan question now. Uh, what's the best Cartoon Network show and why is it Uncle Grandpa? Well, you see, the Powerpuff Girls is the best show because
and a lot of
I
amazing
didn't know Powerpuff
characterization.
Girls got renamed to Uncle Grandpa, but it's an interesting choice.
I will say this much about Uncle Grandpa. I am happy that when he got the news, the show producer, the first thing he did was post a picture on Twitter of Uncle Grandpa just mouthing a gun.
what?
This is not a lie. This is absolute real.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
Goodness.
I'll get it for y'all real quick.
I, while that's going on, I feel like I did like the majority of the talking about Adult Swim. So if like if anyone else has some Adult Swim related anything that they want to mention, it's not like we haven't extended the length of this episode by adding extra shit already. So feel free.
That is true. I mean, I don't have a whole lot in depth to say that you haven't like already said, but I definitely like have a lot of fond memories staying up late watching stuff like Family Guy and Harvey Birdman and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. That there it is.
Harvey Birdman was a very interesting show and definitely felt like a fever dream, akin to the way Space Ghost was as well.
Yeah, they sure love their surreal humor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
I gotta say, a big fan of surreal humor as well. But oddly enough, my favorite Adult Swim show in particular, I forgot it. I had it and then I forgot it.
You forgot? Well,
I did forget.
Oops.
I will put up a list if it'll
Okay,
help
cool.
you out.
That will help me greatly because I generally forgot.
Clearly, Lost's favorite Adult Swim show is off the air.
Yeah, oh no, it is 100% it is.
My God.
Calling Friends is really good now. I'll say that for sure. That definitely is like the winner right now. Getting close. The Venture Brothers. There you go. That's what it was.
Venture Brothers is good, yeah.
That's one I
Venture
need to
Brothers is
check out
very
more
good.
for sure.
Yes, you do. Make a roll of 3 or something, I swear.
He's
the
got
Venture
Patrick Warburton.
the Venture Brothers is very interesting in the sense that like it had to grow on me. I hated it when it first came out because the way that it was. I thought Brock was a little bit too mean with the whole situation and whatnot. But once the second season ended, I started realizing, oh, this actually has legs. Like they're doing something interesting, you know? So I got really into it at that point and started watching as the series went on. And it's one of those shows that like evolves so much that you can't recognize it from its first season to its last season, but like in the sense that like what it does and what it's built, not in the sense that like it doesn't feel familiar.
Just that the evolution, you would say, is very noticeable.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's
And I
definitely one
think
of those that like starts off as like ridiculous comedy, becomes more story driven, which is pretty common for cartoons nowadays.
I definitely like it a lot more. I've never been a fan of cartoons that are just like, we're just going to be one-off things consistently. I love having continuity to some degree, even if it's so little.
Yeah, continuity's fun.
Mm.
Something you can play around with, you know? Expand the world, the story.
Like I understand why Tom and Jerry can't have it, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. There's some where it would be kind of weird to implement, but
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I like continuity too, but like doesn't need to be there necessarily.
right. Yeah, it again depends on kind of like your presentation and tone, but
hmm Like if it's a comedy solely, like I don't really expect it.
Kids Next Door was able to do it quite well, honestly, and I was very happy to see was doing.
Yeah, like it can be there, but
Yeah, like it played around with both sides of it, and honestly, I feel like a lot of the Cartoon Network shows at the time did do that fine line of like, I have continuity, but also you can just watch this whenever. Like it's fine.
pretty much, yeah.
pretty much what I said
Like
about the Powerpuff Girls, you know, like
yeah,
Yeah.
they would you know, they would throw in like a good reference to an old episode or like play off of something that happened before, uh, or use some character development or whatnot. Blossom getting her ice breath, just as an example. But it's not like you had to have watched every episode of the show before then to know what was going on.
and like Courage was an example I thought of just now, where it's like it doesn't really have much continuity aside from like the chicken episodes, but like
Hmm.
you can pretty much just watch any episode and like take it as it is.
Hmm. So, to close things for realsies this time, Cartoon Network,
hmm
a load of just beautiful memories and wonderful shows, and it was nice to have you two here to discuss it and you know just uh, relive those memories in some way, and yeah, uh, just much appreciated, fam. Thanks for stopping by here today.
Definitely.
And with that, everyone, also Spidey, uh, just real quick, I know Spidey's making a joke, but at least in my area, I thought it was pretty cool that like there was no stigma about liking the Powerpuff Girls when I was a kid. Uh,
Yeah, there really wasn't. It was a pretty unisex show, honestly.
like I think some adults would make the assumption, but like the kids around, like the Powerpuff Girls was just a show, and you
Yeah.
know. It wasn't a girl show. It wasn't a boy show. It was just a show.
I
And
did remember feeling like a little self-conscious about it for a bit because like all the marketing and merchandising was specifically towards girls, so it's kind of like, is this a girl show? You know?
but like you know that never really like crossed my mind. It was just like you know everybody who watched Cartoon Network was just into the Powerpuff Girls. It was you know it was kind of like a unanimous sort of thing, and you know that that's like one of the earliest examples too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where that sort of thing, you know, uh, I'm sure you get what I mean, but you know, I just think that that's
hmm
cool that Powerpuff Girls, at least where I was, you know, from, did not have that stigma. Uh, so yeah. Uh, But friends and fam, if you, the viewing public, and again, I'm very sorry that I didn't have the privacy settings right when I started the stream. It's been a very stressful memory lane, buddies, to schedule this time. Um, but
A big whoopsie doodle.
it was just between COVID and the co-host shuffling and whatnot. It was a huge whoopsie doodle. Um, But if you, the viewing public who are seeing the VOD, would like to have access to, you know, the fan question and the live broadcast and chat interaction here with Memory Lane Buddies uh, for $5 a month, you can become a Memory Lane Buddies viewer channel member, and you will have access to all that stuff. So again, it's the fan question when we're getting the episode together, and every other month. So like 1 month will be the vote for the next episode, and then you know the month after will be the episode itself. So you get all that. You get to hear the broadcast live and interact with us and all that
When we plan it properly.
when we plan it properly. When I'm not running around like a headless chicken, and all that. So yeah. But it's been a fun one. But it's time to go. Uh,
Yep.
so yeah. That has been Memory Lane Buddies, and we will see you next time for whatever the episode happens to be about. Catch you later,
I
fam.
hope it's about Pogs.
I, I don't have any nostalgia for pugs.
Bye, guys.
Pongers. Okay, bye for real.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.